Let me know if this describes what happened to you. The premium deck set got announced and released in big box stores in the last week of September 2022. You went to 24 different Target and Walmarts put together and couldn't find a single one. And sure, your friends gave you the option of buying things online and having them shipped to your house, but by that point, you were filled with so much spite and resentment that you didn't even want to look at those premium deck sets anymore. Well, luckily for us, the official Jesmon and Ragnalordmon starter decks are out, so we can open those instead. Yes, that's right, y'all. As of this week, we finally have new starter decks to talk about in the Digimon TCG. And like I alluded to earlier, the contents of these specific starter decks have existed for a while due to the premium deck set released in English-only Digimon carrying stores. That said, these starter decks by themselves do offer a bit of a different experience and definitely a different MSRP. But not only that, as you guys can see right here, it also includes unique bonus tamer cards in alternate art forms that we've never seen before, so that in and of itself will be a nice addition to these brand new Digimon starter decks. And y'all know me, I love starter decks. I think they're the best way to start playing any TCG, get a good feel for the flow of the game, and then decide for yourself what decks you want to build moving forward, if you want to be more competitive, more casual, or if you just like certain archetypes more than others. And while in the past I've never been the biggest fan of non-generic starter decks, these really specific ones that focus around Jesmon and Ragnalordmon respectively seem really interesting because they're not trying to do something new, they're just trying to improve on the formulas we've seen from starter decks in the past. And like always in today's video, I'm going to open these decks up, talk about the cards inside, what makes them different from each other, which one's better out of the box, and overall how they rank as starter decks. If you guys are excited for this video and want to see more like it in the future from me, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications so you know when my videos go live for you. Also, if you ever want to catch me using awesome Digimon decks like these in person, be sure to follow me over on Twitch. Link is down below, as always. With that being said, I have journeyed through 24 different stores trying to figure out what's in these starter decks. Let's crack them open and find out. All right, y'all, here we are. I have the first starter deck we're going to talk about, starter deck 12, the Jesmon starter deck. And a fun fact for any people at home that don't know this, in English, we don't have a starter deck 11. We went straight from starter deck 10, Parallel World Tactician, to starter deck 12, Jesmon. And I believe the reason for this is while yes, canonically there is a starter deck 11 in Japan, those special cards like Gamamon or the Red Greymon promo type stuff is being released in our box toppers for set 10 instead of as their own deck. That's your fun fact. Let's go ahead and actually open up this box. Leave that right there. And yep, we got this new packaging here for starter decks revealing the Gurimon egg that is going to be the boy for the Jesmon starter. And on the back here, we have this separate little pack of promo cards or extra cards being our alternate art tamers. We're starting off with the legend himself, Tai Kamiya. I believe every single one of these tamers is a OG like first tamer for their respective color in like starter decks or various other methods of retrieving them, but they also have their own unique texture foil on top of alternate art background. So here we see some like motherboard circuitry for Tai Kamiya up top. Let's go ahead and get this plastic off and see the rest. I always hate whenever you opened up like, you know, package alternate or textured cards, that stickiness that they all have. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to make that a little easier. Alrighty, let's go ahead. Tai Kamiya. There's probably the big chase one that every single person wants. Davis Motomiya, famously one of the most expensive tamers in the history of Digimon. He's got that nice sort of like shattered glass texture, which feels really good actually. We've got TK Takaishi, one of the OG first starter deck tamers with, I think it's like a mini honeycomb. It looks like raindrops, but if you look really closely, they have like sharp edges and stuff. Really cute. We've got Ken Ichijoji to go alongside Davis, and I believe he has the same kind of like shattered glass, but it's way more patterned. It's not just like super spread out like Davis's was. We've got Izzy Azumi, personally my favorite of the bunch because I have plenty of Davis, and I really love this Tamer card for the black color. He has like a really, really well-patterned sort of ripple effect. And then finally, we have the purple Matashita 2-drop from the purple starter. Surprised they didn't go for the blue mat to go alongside the red and yellow TK and tie, but this is a really good tamer and looks really nice. So just like the original Gallantmon and Ulforce starters, you get one alternate art tamer for each color, and these are the only 6 you're ever going to get. If you get 4 copies of either of the starter decks, you're going to get a full playset of each of these cards, and they are just really gorgeous. With the pretty cards out the way, let's go ahead and actually move on to the main deck itself. What's interesting about these 2 starter decks, the Jesmon and Ragnalordmon one, is they both focus on mainly like red power cards. Yes, the Ragnalordmon is a red and black dual color deck, where the Jesmon deck is more of a red deck with white splash. They both have red in them, which I don't think we've ever done a starter deck release where both decks share a color in common, which is super cool. So let's go ahead and get these cool memory counters out the way with the new Huckmon and the new Jesmon being shown off. That actually looks really cool. I like the subtle hints of blue in this like red sort of plasticky design. And I said earlier that like the packaging material on these starter decks are different. These cards feel kind of different as well. Not as actual plasticky as the memory counters of old. I have one right here. Yeah, this one definitely feels thinner and more like a plasticky feel, and this one has like hints of like, I want to say like a thin acrylic maybe. Like it just feels more pliable than this one does, but it doesn't feel like any bad or any worse. It just like is different. Let's go ahead and go with our egg. We have, of course, 4 copies of the Gurmon, who says, inheritable your turn while you have 2 or more Digimon in play. This Digimon gets power plus 1000. We love seeing a generic power gain, especially in a red deck that just loves attacking, which, if anyone knows, a Jesmon deck loves to do on big bad burst turns. Moving on to our rookies, we've got 4 copies of a 2-drop Vanilla in Candlemon, 4 copies of a 3-drop Floodgate in Solarmon, which says all turns players cannot reduce play costs. So it's a reprint or a recoloring of a Psychomon from purple. We have 4 copies of the new rare Huckmon to round off, and this card has the your turn effect. Once per turn, when you play a Digimon with Sistermon in its name, gain 1 memory. That's the other big flavor of this deck. A, attack as much as you can, and then B, when you attack, summon free Sistermons from your hand or trash and place them into play, and then gain resources or advantage off of them. Inheritable your turn all turns. While this Digimon has Huckmon in its name or Royal Knight in its traits, it gains power plus 1000. Doing that during both players' turn is actually really cool. So those are our 12 rookies, a nice balanced number of rookies, cannot complain. Moving on to level 4s, we got 4 copies of the 4-drop 4K 1-cost evolution Meramon. We have 4 copies of the brand new Bao Huckmon to sort of round things off. He has an all turns effect. While this Digimon has Huckmon in its name or Royal Knight in its traits, it gets power plus 1000, so a mirror inheritable effect of the regular Huckmon. 5 cost, 6000 DP. Again, really simple. You'll see that this deck has some weird ratios when it comes to all the red cards because you need to find room for the white level 4s and 3s that are your Sistermons. Moving on to level 5s, we got 4 copies of the Vanilla Skull Meramon, 3 cost to evolve, 9000, 6 drop to play normally, and then 4 copies of the brand new rare Savior Huckmon, and then finally 2 copies of the dual color Volcanomon. So first things first, Volcanomon, he's a 4-drop evolution for red or black blocker, 9000 DP, and gives the inheritable security attack plus 1. We're seeing a lot of these level 5s now in red between Voltramon, Master Tyrannomon, and now Volcanomon that just give plus 1 security as an inheritable, which is kind of scary when you take into account that starter deck Greymon still exists. But the real ultimate, and I think one of the big power cards of this deck that's going to be a huge boost to the Jesmon deck in constructed play, is the Savior Huckmon. 7000 DP. When Digivolving effect, this Digimon may also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon for the turn. So basically, the main combo with this isn't actually doing it by itself, but if you evolve and still are at 0, you can evolve into the brand new Jesmon that has Blitz, and you retain this when Digivolve effect. So now you can Blitz through one of your opponent's Digimon that is unsuspended. Really nice removal tool, and its inheritable is just as good. Ever since the restriction of the original Savior Huckmon from set 6, Jesmon players have wondered how they're going to sort of combat the lack of good level 5s options in red for a Jesmon deck. This Savior Huckmon is a super nice alternative and automatic inclusion, if you ask me. Enough talking about level 5s. Let's talk about the main boss of the deck, Big Daddy Jesmon himself. You get 2 copies of him in the starter decks, as well as 2 copies of the brand new black Genkumon. I actually forgot that this deck also had black Digimon cards as well. So before I talk about Jesmon, let's briefly touch on Genkumon. 11,000 DP, level 6, evolves on black or red Digimon. When Digivolving, you may play 1 Huckmon or 1 Digimon card with Sistermon in its name from your trash without paying its memory cost. Your turn, once per turn, when you play another Digimon by an effect, de-Digivolve up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon. This is a really cool way to not only build your board up, but also sort of slow your opponent's board down in the process. But the card that's going to be winning you most of your games is this Jesmon right here. He's a level 6 with a hefty 4 evolution cost on level 5s with the when Digivolving effect of Blitz, meaning if you evolve and your turn ends, you can still attack. When attacking, you may play 1 Digimon card with Sistermon in its name from your hand only without paying its memory cost. And then your turn, once per turn, when you play another Digimon by an effect, this Digimon gains plus 3,000 power and gains security attack plus 1. The old Jesmon from set 6 would attack, allow you to play a Sistermon, and then when you played something, gain piercing and plus 3,000. So this one kind of does other keyword gaining skills, but also has Blitz, which is again a really nice combo with some of the other cards in this deck. This card not only looks beautiful with that awesome textured foiling, but in combination with new cards that are coming out in set 10, like Jesmon GX or even simply the Jesmon X Antibody, this Blitz effect can be used really effectively at not only dealing damage to your opponent, but controlling and building your own board up in the process. And if this card wasn't beautiful or powerful enough, it gets even more support cards in the form of Jesmon X Antibody and Jesmon GX from Booster Set 10 Cross Encounter. So this deck releasing at this time is super advantageous. And that wraps up all the main attacker / advantage gain Digimon. Let's talk about some of the toolbox cards, specifically our Sistermons. We have 4 copies of the brand new Sistermon Blanc and 4 copies of the brand new Sistermon Seal. So the brand new Blanc is a 3-cost white level 3 with 3,000 DP, and the on-play effect, by trashing 1 card in your hand, draw 2 cards, and the all turns effect, when you have a Digimon in play with Huckmon in its name or a Royal Knight in its traits, this Digimon gains Decoy, red, and black. This card is a super nice resource tool that combos quite nicely with the constructed versions of Sistermons, like the original Blanc or the original Seal. And the brand new Seal on the starter deck is a 4-cost, level 4 with 5,000 DP white Digimon with the on-play effect to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Huckmon in its name or Royal Knight in its traits from among them to your hand, trash the rest. Very important distinction there, just more trash filling for potential ways to summon Huckmon or Sistermons. And then all turns, all of your Digimon with Huckmon in their names and Royal Knight in their traits gain Reboot. While yes, Reboot is a very useful effect, it's only super good if you combine it with something like Blocker, which right now this deck does not have easy access to. Maybe it'll combo nicely with Jesmon GX, but as of right now, in relation to all the other CLs that exist, it's not the craziest one. That's it for our Digimon, but not it for all the cards in our deck. We do have some pretty interesting option cards, like the 1-drop Oz Generics, is I believe how that card's name is pronounced. Then we have 2 copies of From Master to Disciple, which is a very on flavor and gorgeous card. And then finally 2 copies of Quake, Blast, Fire, Father. Lots of punctuation. So Oz Generics is the 1-drop option card that boosts your stats if you're a Huckmon or Royal Knight and lets you gain a memory, and one of your Digimon gains piercing. Pretty nice. When you're attacking your opponent's unsuspended dudes, being able to deal damage as well is pretty nice. We have, in my opinion, the best option card in the deck, the 2-cost delay option of From Master to Disciple, which main reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Huckmon or Sistermon, or a card with Royal Knight from its traits to your hand, and then delay. The next time one of your Digimon would Digivolve this turn, reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. So basically, it's a mini search memory boost card for the Jesmon deck, but instead of gaining you memory, it reduces the evolution cost of some of your Huckmons in the future. So if you want to evolve into the Savior, you can do it for 2. If you want to evolve into the actual Jesmon, you can do it for 3. So on and so forth. The security effect is basically the same search effect as the main effect, and then you can play it into your battle area to use the delay later on. And then finally, we have the black option card of Quake, Blast, Fire Father. While you have a Digimon with Huckmon or Sistermon in its name or a Royal Knight, you may play this card regardless of the color requirements. Main, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 13 or less. That's pretty much every single level 6 that I can think of. On top of that, the security effect says activate this card's main effect. What more do you want from a 7-cost removal spell inside of a starter deck? So yeah, that's the Jesmon starter deck. The basic idea is climb up into one of your ultimates, go for a big Jesmon blitz play, summon a bunch of Sistermons, and then gain a bunch of value in the process, and then just do that over and over again until you wipe out all of your opponent's security and deal the final finishing blow. Super simple, super fun, and gets even better once you add in existing Jesmon cards as well as new ones that are coming out in set 10. Now, we've talked a lot about the Royal Knights. Let's move on to the Legend Arms archetype and see what they got. Now, here I have the Ragnalordmon starter deck, and this one's really interesting because they didn't really need to release it alongside Jesmon. They totally could have released it alongside the other DNA Digivolve focused starter decks like Imperial and Maste. I mean, if you think about it, it works perfectly, right? Like Imperial's blue-green, Maste is yellow and purple, and Ragnalordmon is red and black. That's all 6 main colors supported in 3 different decks that are themed around having dual color Digimon combined to create more powerful ones. But here we are, red and black and red and white are the 2 main color combinations for this release. We saw earlier the 6 Tamer cards, they're the exact same ones, but I'll show you guys just because they're beautiful and we should look at them some more. But look how sticky they are. We have little Sakudomon greeting us right there, the black base Digi Egg. We've got the memory counters with Durandamon and who is, oh, that's Ludramon. For a second, I was like, that's what his face is? I always thought his face was like the middle part, but I guess not. That actually looks really nice, especially Durandamon's. And then these are just information cards that we do not need. Let's go ahead and start off by looking at the Sakudomon Egg, inheritable your turn once per turn when you play another Digimon with Legend Arms in its traits by an effect, gain 1 memory. So if you guys do not know, every single like piece of Ragnalordmon or thing that evolves up into Ragnalordmon is either a weapon or it's a Legend Arms, which is like a powerful weapon from Digimon lore. We get 4 of this bad boy. Moving on to the main deck, we have of course a deck comprised of both red and black Digimon, starting of course with the red rookies. We have 4 copies of the brand new Zubamon. This card has the on-play effect to basically place it underneath another black or Legend Arms Digimon, and by doing so, you can look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a Legend Arms with a 7 play cost or less, you play it, and then you add the other cards to your hand. So if it's like a 10 cost card, you just add it to your hand instead of playing it. Really good advantage piece. It also gives a powerful removal effect as it's inheritable for low DP Digimon. Speaking of removal, we have the level 4 red Digimon in Zuba Eagermon, who is another Legend Arms on play. Place under a black or Legend Arms, delete one of your opponent's 5,000 DP or less Digimon, and then it has the same inheritable as Zubamon. Pretty simple, pretty standard. That's like the main theme of this deck. But moving on to a bit of a different card, we have 2 copies of the level 5 red Duramon. Duramon says, when this Digimon would Digivolve into a black or Legend Arms Digimon, you can reduce its cost by 1. So if he becomes a level 6, you can basically lower that cost. And then the end of your turn effect will let you DNA Digivolve. So think Gatomon, think Salamon, think Wormmon from the other starter decks. And moving on, we have the first sort of super rare in this deck, the red Durandamon level 6. This card looks gorgeous, has a beautiful sort of like almost polymorphic textured background. He's a Level 6 evolves on red and black for 3, 11,000 DP. Your turn once per turn. When one of your effects places a Digimon under this Digimon, it gets power plus 3,000 and security attack plus 1. So if you use any of these guys' effects, not only do you get those benefits, you also increase your power and security attack. And then when attacking, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You may play one Digimon with Legend Arms in its name with a play cost of 7 or less without paying its memory cost. Place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. And then the inheritable, your turn, while this Digimon is Ragnalordmon, it doesn't activate security effects on option cards. So we have ADP effects, we have plus security, and we have the ability to summon more things, and then potentially get more effects due to on-play effects. Really, really cool card. It combos quite nicely with the main boss monster of this deck, Ragnalordmon. And again, you know how earlier I mentioned there was like a theme between Imperial, Maste, and Ragnalordmon, between like all the colors? Well, there's an even greater theme in that the DNA Digivolve or Jogress Digimon for each one scales up. In Imperial, it was level 5 DNA Digivolution. In Maste, it was level 6. In this deck, it's level 7 DNA Digivolution. So Ragnalordmon is a level 7 Digimon, 6 cost to evolve in red or black, 15,000 DP, but it has the alternate Digivolution of DNA between red level 6 and black level 6. So you can just merge 2 level 6s together to create this guy for free. And then he has 2 crazy effects. When Digivolving Blitz, so even if your turn does end by evolving into him, you can just still attack, which is crazy. And then when DNA Digivolving, for every 4 cards in this Digimon Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 20 or less, which is every single Digimon, and then trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So let's say you delete like 2 Digimon and your opponent has 2 security, you trash both securities and then you blitz for game. Really, really cool card. All turns, once per turn, when a card is removed from a player's security, unsuspend this Digimon. So even if your turn doesn't end, if your opponent has 3, you trash the first 2, you swing, you trash the last one, you swing for game. So this card is really good at just clearing out your opponent's security and winning the game. In constructed play, a card that people like to combo this with is the brand new Bihumon from, I want to say, set 8, that basically trashes your opponent's security and the end of your turn. And so when you combine this with the end of turn DNA Digivolution, you can easily just clear out opponent's security from like 4 to 0 and then blitz for game. Really cool card, really powerful. That's it for the red and sort of big boss Digimon of this starter. Let's move on to the black cards and sort of the support cast. We've got 4 copies of the vanilla Kotamon, 4 copies of the Floodgate, same as Solarmon, Chikurimon, and then 4 copies of the Ludomon. This card basically has the same exact effect as Zubamon, but instead of being placed under a black or Legend Arms, you can place him under a red or Legend Arms. And then he has the inheritable, opponent's turn. While you have a Digimon that's red or has Legend Arms, this Digimon gains blocker. So it's a really nice way for you to soup up your already really powerful level 6s by giving them blocker. Moving on to level 4s, we have 4 copies of the 4-cost 1-drop 4K vanilla Gladiumon, and 4 copies of the Taie Ludomon. 5 cost, 2 cost to evolve on dual color, 4,000 DP, on play effect to place under a red or Legend Arms, and then give one of your Digimon reboot. And then it has, I believe, the same effect as Ludomon to give blocker. So you see, this deck is all about making your big stacks even bigger and even scarier and stronger. Moving on to the last level 5s of the deck, we actually have a dual color vanilla in the red and black Nightmon, and then 4 copies of the black Raiji Ludomon, who has the opponent's turn effect. This Digimon can't be deleted by your opponent's effects, just straight up immune to being deleted. And then the end of your turn, you may DNA Digivolve effect. Again, think Wormmon, think Duramon. And finally, rounding off all the Digimon in this deck, we have 4 copies of the Braiwei Ludramon, 12,000 DP, 4 cost to evolve on level 5 red or black. He's got some pretty cool effects. The first one is my personal favorite. Your turn, once per turn, when one of your effects places a Digimon card under this Digimon, your opponent's effects cannot delete this Digimon or return it to its owner's deck or hand until the end of their turn. In a DNA Digivolve deck, removal is absolutely enemy number 1, and having a card that just adds this much protection is super solid. On top of that, he has the when Digivolving effect to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and play a 7 cost or less Legend Arms from among them, and then place the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. Again, just more board flood, more triggering of on-play effects, super useful. And then the inheritable effect of opponent's turn, while this Digimon is Ragnalordmon, it is not affected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon. Just more hard, you cannot touch this Digimon, and that's a total of 4 copies of that big bad level 6. So yeah, that's it for the Digimon, the main shebang of this deck, but we do have some pretty cool option cards, specifically 2 copies of the red 7-cost Direct Smasher and 4 copies of the red and black Legend Arms Alliance. Much like between Mentor and Student, this is a delay card, 4 costs to play normally, red and black, so you need both colors in play in order to properly activate it. You may play 1 Digimon card with Legend Arms in its traits and a play cost of 7 or less in your hand without paying its memory cost, then place this card in the battle area, and then delay, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, place those cards on top or bottom in any order. Lets you kind of stack and allow things like Bryway or Duranda to happen more frequently. The other option card though, Direct Smasher, 7 cost, red only. While you have Legend Arms in play, you can ignore the color requirements. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP. So if there's a tie, you must choose one. Very interesting. And then security, activate this card's main effect. And yeah, that is the Ragnalordmon starter deck. One of the coolest starter decks I've ever seen because its strategy is so interesting, you know, like it's all about summoning a big bad Ragnalordmon and just having him do all the work you need him to win the game for you. I don't know, ever since playing like Garurumon back in the day of set 1.5, looking at the top card of your deck and summoning things has always been really cool no matter what game you play. But if I'm honest, unlike Jesmon, this deck is a pretty unknown quantity. Like, I don't know how strong it's going to end up being in the actual constructed play for the set 10 format. So while all these effects are really cool, they might just be too slow / too inconsistent to actually make work. And this brings me to the difficult realization of which of these starter decks do I actually recommend newer players buy. Because it's one thing to say, oh, Jesmon is stronger, it's easier to upgrade with things like X Antibody, as well as other different Sistermons, but it's another thing to say that it teaches you a lot about what the game is like and how to play it. Both of these decks are so specifically these decks that you can't really put their cards in any other strategy. So in terms of like overall which one is better, which one should you buy if you had to choose, I would say Jesmon is objectively more consistent, faster, and easier to upgrade, but Ragna is just as strong out of the box. So yeah, maybe that's my answer, is they're both the same, but if you're looking to actually turn them into a competitive deck, the easiest path forward is Jesmon. And boom, there you guys go. That wraps up my unboxing and review, more or less, of the brand new Jesmon and Ragnalordmon starter decks for the Digimon TCG. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Peace.